4 skeletons playing poker in the void. Today's work, gonna be a little bit ugly. I wanted cycles. Oh. I just don't think it looks good. I think it looks bad. You know what? We're sticking with it, for better or for worse.
Just ain't fun anymore.
Steven has no chair. Hey, real quick, it's me editing this. This is basically a compilation video of a series that I made documenting my process of making an animated short film from start to beginning. Hold on, start to beginning, that doesn't make sense. From start to finish. And now I'm uploading it as a compilation of sorts with a lot of the really boring stuff cut out. So anyway, on with the show. Basically, there are 4 skeletons gathered around a table, right? They're trying to read each other's expressions, and one of them kind of complains because, hey, there's no expressions to read, we're all just skulls. And then finally, they realize he's only complaining because he's got a bad hand. Now, as for who our 4 skeletons are, the first is Gerald, although everyone's just gonna call him Jerry. He's the one that starts the argument, and he's just looking to get out of his bad hand. Now, Sean, he's the one that actually takes the bait and really argues the most with Jerry. The third skeleton, the dealer for tonight, is a skeleton by the name of Bruce. And lastly, we have Steven. Now, Steven, he'd call himself an opportunist, but really, he's using the argument as a means to cheat. And with that figured out, I think it's about time to get some sketches done. So here are the sketches of all 4 skeletons, along with some accessories just to give an idea of sort of their character and to help make sure that the audience can easily differentiate between them. And then I made another sketch of Jerry. I don't know why I did this, but now, regardless, it is time to work on the ever-important script. And of course, you want to make a few changes, so you make a second draft. Now, there are just a few lines of dialogue that I wasn't fully in tune with, so I made another draft. But now that all that's done, all that's really left is the... Yeah, writing is my favorite part of the entire process. How'd you know? Now, unfortunately, I can't have 4 skeletons playing poker in the void. There does need to be an actual room, like an environment. So I put together a rough drawing of what I imagine the room to look like. The green is a bit overly vibrant in this image, but that red and green color palette is really what I'm imagining being core here. It, to me, evokes the idea of a gambling parlor or a smoking lounge, and that's exactly what I'm going for. And now I feel like we're at a good place. The foundations have been laid, and there's enough for me to really start working with. I decided to start by making the model for Jerry, and then use him as a foundation upon which all the other skeletons would be made. So here's the footage of...
Oh no! Oh no! No, no! No, no, no!
Now, thankfully, this isn't actually too big of a problem because I do have the version history and I can just show you everything that changed, but I'm afraid it might be a bit boring without the footage, so let's just... Yeah, I think that should do the trick while I'm talking. So the first thing I really did was get a base skull model in place and then figure out the placement of the spine and the sternum. Following that, I went to work on the rib cage and the arm, sculpting those in. After that, moved down to the lower half of the body, started working on the hips and the legs, which didn't get as much thought because you're not going to be seeing them, but that'll be a-okay. Moved forward by mirroring what I had done on the one side to the other, and then I went back and I added some sculpted detail onto the head, and let's actually check the polygon count on that. Hopefully it's not too high. And then there's the rigging step, which no one cares about, so we're just gonna... Alright, there you go. And then it's just a matter of attaching everything to the bones you just made, and then suddenly, voila, you have a functional rig. You can move and animate your character. It's amazing! I have to do this 3 more times. Alright, that was a pretty good time lapse. Let's just check how long the original footage was. Over 2 hours is 30 seconds. 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 Over 2 hours is 30 seconds! Well, I hope you enjoyed that haphazard look at my workflow. Of course, you didn't actually get the best example of what all these accessories look like, so let's take another quick peek. So, starting off with Jerry, we have the usual suspects of the cap and the gold chain. The gold chain is an arrayed, simple model that is bending around a curve, and the curve has drivers on it to allow the chain to move a little bit as he moves his clavicles. And the hat is a simple sculpted mesh. Moving on now to Sean, he's fairly simple as far as accessories are concerned. The main point is that his tie has a cloth sim on it, which you've already seen. Brice was a fairly simple one. His dealer's visor is just a simple model, and his bow tie was lightly sculpted. Last, but of course not least, is Steven. His beanie was originally sculpted, but I retopologized it to clean it up. And then the glasses were just hard surface modeled. And that's the whole cast of characters. Next up on the agenda, well, it's time to get to work on that environment. Alright, it is important to me that I preface this. Today's work, gonna be a little bit ugly. We're worrying about color on a different day, so everything's gonna be drab and boring looking, but you gotta trust me, alright? This is all important stuff, alright? In all seriousness, blockouts are kind of supposed to be ugly, because all they're there for is to just give a rough idea of what the space is like, so that way you can make sure the proportions of the room are right. So with that laid out, I went ahead and started working immediately on the table, which is a pretty simple construction of just a cylinder that has a bunch of extrusions on it, is cut up into a quarter so that way it can be mirrored on the 2 horizontal axes, and then I just kind of messed around with it for a little while until boom, suddenly it's a table. And then for the chairs, it was like, I don't know, chairs have got legs, and then I made the back, and then it was a chair. Oh, and then I gave it armrests, you know, just because felt like it should have them. But now it's time to get serious for a moment, because I decided to incorporate geometry nodes somewhere in this, and I decided to do that with the floor, and it was kind of scary, because they're scary, and it was just... Alright, so it turns out making a floor with geometry nodes is not that difficult. So we got a cube, and then you're going to subdivide it, then you're going to move it around, then you're going to array it, then you're going to array it again, then you're going to array it again, and then you're going to array it again, and then you're going to move it again. And then you're going to take all this nonsense here with the wave texture and the vector stuff that I don't entirely understand, but I took from a YouTube tutorial. And then you're going to hit that so it's got a little bit of like a wavy sort of texture on it. Then you're going to shade it smooth so that way it looks a little bit nicer. And we're going to go back, we're going to boolean this sucker so that way, you know, it just cuts off the excess, and then boom, it's a floor.
Well, that was another easy adventure for Spider-Man!
Anyway, so after that, I made kind of like a janky like TV box setup with, you know, one of those like TV cabinets that's got the clearly broken shelves on it that no one's bothered to fix. So we did one of those. Also, you know, you need to have a door in the space. And you'll notice, fun fact, it doesn't have any hinges. That's because we're never gonna really see it open or close in this, so who cares? And then after that, kind of went ahead, populated the shelves with some stuff, and, you know, did some like little extra knickknacks and doodads, and we're done. Now, I know it seems like I recorded a lot of that, but I actually have a list right here of all the things I forgot to record, and we're just going to kind of count them up. So we got the books and bookshelves, we have the ceiling lights, the cables and cords and all that sort of stuff, the paintings on the wall, the shelves themselves and the majority of their contents, the TV remote, the wall outlet, and then, the walls themselves. So that's somehow such a comically high number that I don't really know what to do with it. So let's just all agree to ignore that for now. Anyway, here's the final turnaround. It ain't perfect, but I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. And for the sake of comparison, we'll also bring in the original block out, just so you can see how the two stack up with each other. Now, there are still some things that I haven't actually gotten around to doing yet. Notably, we still need cards, we still need poker chips, the space still needs a ceiling, because I kind of forgot about that one. So there's still stuff to do, but we can put that off until it is time to actually add materials and color and texture to the space. And speaking of, I believe that is the next item on our agenda. Of course, before we really get into adding colors into the scene, the first thing that we actually have to do is pick between our rendering engines. Now, I wanted to keep it within Blender, so that meant my options were Cycles and Eevee, but I really prefer Cycles. Oh gosh, is this gonna have to be an Eevee thing? Oh, it's gonna have to be an Eevee thing, isn't it? Oh. I wanted Cycles. No. Now that my dreams have been thoroughly dashed, let's go over the process of making these nodes. Alright, one take wonder, let's go. And there you have it, a color and material setup that, I don't like very much. Like, don't get me wrong, it's good, but it's just not what I really had in mind. So, these really aren't all that different, but the first version had a grunge to it that I didn't like. The biggest change was honestly just changing the color ramp type to ease instead of constant, and adding in a highlight at the darkest ends of the color ramp. From there, it was just about adding these shaders onto each character, along with, you know, of course, their own special items requiring their own shaders, but those were fairly straightforward in comparison to everything else. It was just a lot of fine-tuning and tweaking until finally, the characters were done. Well, now I just have to apply this same shader to the background. It looks bad. Yeah, so over an hour of working on it, messing with it, trying to figure out why it doesn't work, and trying to make it work, and making changes to the shaders and the colors and the lighting and all that sort of stuff. I just don't think it looks good. I think it looks bad. I don't know how it happened, how it works so well for the characters in my opinion, and looks so terrible for the environment. But it was clear that a new approach was needed. Then, one night, like a frightful dream, a great and terrible idea came upon me. See, the thing is, the lighting doesn't really change throughout the short, so things don't really need to have dynamic materials, so a colored gradient with some extra details does the trick fine. Of course, this idea isn't a silver bullet that solves everything. Some things, like the books on the bookshelves, required a little bit of creative thinking, but worked out pretty well, all things considered. And now with these new changes, I think it looks really great. I think it even compares well to the spirit of the original sketch that I had made, which I am so pleased with. And of course, to round out these comparisons, here is the turnaround of the finished environment. There's definitely more I could do to make it better, but perfect is the enemy of good enough, and I am very, very pleased with how this has turned out. Ah, dang it, I forgot to make the cards and the chips. And voila, cards and chips. At this point, we're far enough along that I need to put together a previs or animatic or something. Just some sort of very rough animation to time everything out, figure out the camera angles and whatnot. But for that, I need to get the dialogue voice acted. Jerry, just fold so we can get on with this. Jerry, just fold so we can get on with this. So I reached out to a few friends to see if they'd perhaps be interested in contributing some voices. And a few people responded. I'm still going to be playing one of the characters, but the rest are going to be played by these lovely folks. Oh, actually, one of them has already sent in their takes. Let's take a listen.
You're folding?
You know what? We're sticking with it! For better or for worse, I can't play 4 different characters, I'll use what I- Alright, now that I've got the first takes from everyone, I can start putting the previs together. Basically, I'm just putting together just the roughest, earliest possible version of this animation, roughly timed out with all the lines and with the camera angles I want, so that I have a little bit of a better plan to follow. And this is also where a lot of problem solving ends up happening, as I realize that the camera angles I had in my head don't actually work in reality, and so I have to figure out something else. Either way, I get a first pass done, and I think I'm just gonna sleep on it, and I'm gonna review it in the morning. With the second pass, in addition to fixing some of the camera angles, I also make a bunch of background adjustments. Notably, I noticed some of the books didn't actually have a paper material. I noticed that the table that the cards are actually being played on was just too off of a color. And then the rug also really just needed a little bit of extra oomph. So those are among just a few of the improvements that I made to the scene. Crucially, at this point, I also decide to implement render layers into my pipeline. Render layers are this neat trick where you can take an image and make it the cumulative product of multiple other images. And this allows you to kind of open up some new and interesting doorways when it comes time to composite. So that sounds cool, right? It took an entire afternoon. I didn't record it because I thought it'd be quick, but I just spent hours with no footage to show for it. But things are still coming together. Now that we've got the render layers in, I'm very happy with the results that those are giving me. People are starting to get back to me with their final line deliveries. But I ended up feeling that some of the lines could be re-recorded and improved. So I got together with Joel, the voice actor for Jerry, and we did a few retakes.
It's not about that. This just ain't fun anymore.
Can you do that line again, but without slapping your knee?
Yeah, sorry. I'm a knee slapper whenever I hit that. Just ain't fun anymore.
Alright, and now we're ready to get started with animation. So there's a few different ways of tackling the process. I'm most familiar with starting with keys, going into a blockout, splining that, and then adding in some polish. And of course all of this is based on reference. And right around here is where I abandoned that process and decided to do my own thing.
What? No, alright. I know that sounds bad.
The great thing about animation is that it's not really governed by rules so much as what you would call guidelines. And so before long, I had a rough little play blast. There are definitely some issues with it. The jaw wobbles too much, the motion on the hand isn't as smooth as I'd like, but it's a totally usable animation if I didn't get around to polishing it. Anyway, after that, added in a pretty basic kind of 3-point lighting setup with a key, a fill, and a backlight for Jerry. In addition to that, I also added some lights around the table to make the props look a little bit better, and I added in a few spotlights just to give the characters some highlights so that their silhouettes would pop a little bit more. And here's what a test render of the scene looks like. Personally, it's pretty basic, but I like it. And I'll be honest, I don't really have a lot else to say beyond that. Anywho, with all that done, went back in, animated Steven and Bruce, fixed Jerry's jaw wobble, fixed up the hand motion a little bit, and BAM! A final play blast of this particular shot. And I'm gonna go ahead and say that this probably all counts as polishing, so if anyone asks, I did end up actually following the proper process and procedure and stuff. So now, I can...
Yes! Hell yeah!
I still have about 16 shots left to do, but let's see how I'm taking that news. So, I decided that my schedule should have me animate every shot in about 2 weeks. Am I upset about this decision? Yes. Am I upset with whoever made this decision? Yeah. What would be my reaction to this person? I think I'd give him a piece of my mind. What are we talking about again? Anyway, now at some point along the way, there's this phase that happens.
Dread it, run from it.
The phase.
It arrives all the same.
See, something about this phase makes the internal voices turn hypercritical and call the thing you've been working on trash. Now, that wouldn't be so bad if they weren't bringing up good points. But in times like these, when your own opinion is too harsh, it's good to seek out the opinions of others. Man, thank goodness this was just staged. Could you imagine if they were actually that mean? That'd be crazy. Anyway, I was undecided about whether I'd have the animation play on 1s or 2s, but although I've been working on 1s just to play it safe, I've come up with a solution. It's a pretty obvious one: a mixed frame rate. See, the majority of the animation will be on 2s, but certain faster motions would be on 1s. And I'm describing it like it's some newfangled thing, but it's not. I just didn't think of it. Alright, let's see what else. Ah, looks like I'm about done animating. And hey, this is looking pretty good. It's a few rough spots, but I'm happy. So, it's time. Congratulations, everyone. We are now on the easy part. See, when we render, we make this into this through the power of, like, math and stuff. And I mean, it takes a while, but the finished result speaks for itself.
What the f*** is this?
Okay, so maybe I messed up a few things by being a dum-dum, but I can fix this. Let me just run down the list of things I gotta change. Fix the lighting continuity issues, lighting flickers in shot 4, forgot to UV unwrap Sean's tie and the constrained cube is visible in shot 2, Sean's skull is ruining shot 16, shadows disappearing along the top of the bookshelf in shot 17, and Steven has no chair in shots 3, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, and 16, and to make things even worse, my AC is broken. I mean, that's not related, but still. Anyway, that's manageable. Let's just start with fixing the lighting continuity, particularly on Bruce for some reason, re-rendering all those error-prone shots, making a brand new layer exclusively for Steven's missing chair, and because it's a separate layer, this means I can now watch this animation, but exclusively chair. Okay, now that's done, I can go in and actually color grade this thing. And now it becomes apparent why I even bothered to render in multiple layers stacked on each other. With this, I can easily, say, darken the background, lighten the characters, hue shift, and keep the outline the same without having to cast too much dark magic. And once that's done with everything, I have to actually, record sound effects for this stuff. Because dialogue alone isn't quite enough. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a professional space for this, so my experience recording sound is something like... But eventually, I get the sound effects recorded and into the edit. What else? Oh, Right, graphics. So I put together a title card with The Betting Dead on it, because although it's only just a temporary name, technically, I think I'm just gonna make it permanent, because I'm bad at naming things and that's the best I got. If I change my mind last minute, it ain't gonna be hard to alter some text. And then for the credits, I had the idea of making cards with the characters on them as a fun way to make the credits literally anything but just white text on a black background. And now, actually, that's pretty much it.
I never thought I'd get this far.
I mean, it ain't perfect, but it's pretty much done, and... What do you mean the outline's flickering in shot 17? Well, it's abrupt, but that's where the series ended, but I've got good news. You can watch the actual finished short. It should be on screen. If it's not, then there's a link in the description as well. And if you liked the video, then like it, I guess, and subscribe, and watch the short. It's good. It took a long time, longer than this video makes it out to be.